Okay, so now we're on to rubric 3, and rubric 3 is going to include while loops, for loops, indexed array, paired arrays, and good case sensitive camel casing. I want to start seeing that you're using the standards that people will recognize, other scripters will recognize. Um, And this particular page, I don't really care if you have it as embedded JavaScript in the top of the page or if you do it as an external. Doesn't really matter to me either way. You can do it however you choose this time. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is at a loop. And the purpose of a loop is if you have behaviors that you need to have repeated a certain number of times or until a certain condition is met. You don't want to have to type out the same code or have a function operate 120 bazillion times. You don't want that to happen. You don't want to have to do that. It's easier just to have the program loop the same thing over and over again until you actually meet the conditions that you want to meet, until you've done what you need to do. So that's what we're going to do. The first classic loop is the while loop. And all loops actually, I'm going to talk about 3 different kinds of loops today, and they all have the same really 3 elements. The first element is a variable, or in this case, it's going to be known as an index because it's the number that's going to be going up, numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, indexing. So that's my index variable. Now, the while statement, the actual loop, is very, very much like a conditional statement. You're going to recognize this format. So I'm going to say, well, A is less than 10. That's my condition. What's going to happen in here? I want to just have an alert. Now I can put, again, anything in here. If I have created my own functions, I can start embedding functions in here. I want to see you guys get a little bit more creative in what it is you're doing. I don't want to teach that way because I don't want to obfuscate what I'm doing with embedding variables and things like that. But I want to see you start embedding variables and making things a little bit more creative. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to make an alert with the value of 10. So this is my index, my condition, and the last thing I need to do is I need to increment, because otherwise what's going to happen is going to say while A is less than 10, alert A. Is A less than 10? Yep, it's still equal to 1, and it's going to keep going because we are never making it anything but 1. We have to make it go 2, 3, 4, so we have to increment. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to say A++. If you've heard of the programming language C++, that's what it is. It's C plus 1, basically the next version up from C. I could also, if I didn't want to say C++, I could say A equals A plus 1. That's saying the exact same thing. But A++ is pretty much the standard. If you want to increment, just plus plus, that's plus 1. Now I need to close off my code block. And let's take a look and see what's happening. Okay, so that's a basic while loop. And it has, again, those 3 elements, the index, the condition, and the increment. The for loop is the exact same thing, but what it does is it takes all of these things and puts them in one statement. It streamlines things quite a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change this from while to for. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put these things all into one statement. So I have my index, my condition, and my variable all right here. All here inside of the for statement. So it streamlines what I'm doing. So let's go ahead and run this and see what it does. Absolutely nothing. Let's see what I'm doing wrong here. Could be that semicolon. Yep. See, I had the extra semicolon, I took that out, and that made it not run because I don't need that because it's not the end of the statement, or it's enclosed there in parentheses, and that made it not run. There. So that statement works exactly like the while statement. Now the other type of loop that you may see or you may come across is the do while statement, or the do while loop. And I'm not asking for that one because it's not quite as common, um, but it contains the exact same elements. It has the variable, which I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to cut that out and I'm going to put that up here. I'm going to put this back, my increment, back in my code block. Put my semicolon that I just removed off of there. And this condition is going to go down here. Dealing with my parentheses here. Now that's kind of a backwards way to construct it, but my point in constructing it that way was that you could see really it's the exact same elements as your index, your increment, your condition. It's just in a different structure, in a different format. So instead of for, actually I want to say do right here. So do this while a is less than 10. But I do have my index, my increment, my condition. Let's see how this works. Exactly the same. Now the only difference is going to be here for this particular style of loop. This is always going to run this code at least once. It's going to run it the first time through, always. Because you're not checking your condition here at the beginning, you're checking your condition at the end, and it's running this code block really from top to bottom.